What is up? Welcome to the Transparency Late Nights. Let's talk about it. Richard Allen. Well, I hate to say that I said so, but I think I did. Richard Allen's attorneys, Baldwin Rozzi, back in action. Yes. As court-appointed attorneys, as it should be. Why wouldn't they be still his court-appointed attorneys? If you're going to win that appeal, that would rightfully take it all the way back to him being still in with his court-appointed attorneys. So that's where this is going to pick up. Again, talk about a fast, like, boom. I think that's kind of like record time for, we're going to get a quick decision back to you guys. Boom. I know people are saying, he didn't get Gull off the case and that they didn't get the 70 days. That doesn't mean that necessarily that's not going to eventually somehow happen. But I think take one thing at a time, and it's a big, big victory for Richard Allen. I mean, if you're going to go through something like this, I think you'd want to go through it with the people that you want representing you, because that's your rights. Indiana, kudos to you. Here it is, breaking news.
We have breaking news from Indiana in the Delphi murders case.
The state Supreme Court has made a key ruling in Richard Allen's case. Court TV senior producer Barbara McDonald was inside the courtroom for today's hearing and has the breaking news update. All right, Barbara, great to see you. Thanks for joining us. What can you tell us?
They have already issued a ruling. It took them 3 hours and 45 minutes after the hearing ended today to file a published ruling with the court. Those of us who were in attendance in the court today did get an update about that. And basically, they are reinstating the original defense team of Bradley Rozzi and Andrew Baldwin. That was one of 3 requests that Richard Allen had. The other 2 requests, to replace the judge and to set the trial within 70 days of their decision, they unanimously deny. It is also worth noting it was a majority opinion, not a unanimous opinion, that restores Bradley Rozzi and Andrew Baldwin. Both of them were in the court for today's hearing. They were not part of the actual hearing. They did not argue anything on behalf of Richard Allen. This is a picture I took of them prior to the hearing beginning. They looked confident. They looked comfortable. After the hearing, they appeared relaxed. They were not congratulating, but they were talking with the attorney who did argue on their behalf, Mark Lehman, and they were exchanging hugs and handshakes and seemed to feel like everything went really well. And apparently it did go well for them today, because it took just 3 hours and 45 minutes for the court to come back with a majority opinion that Bradley Rozzi and Andrew Baldwin should in fact be reinstated. Now, this means that Richard Allen's trial, which is scheduled for October of this year, is going to go forward with these attorneys and the same judge who removed them and who these attorneys have accused of being biased, not only against them, but also of their client. So a lot of very interesting developments. It was a rare hearing at the Supreme Court.
I'll go ahead and stop right there. Again, kudos to Baldwin and Rozzi for fighting the way that they have for Richard Allen. They could have just washed their hands of things. They could have put this under the rug and buried things, and they didn't. That, you guys, that's a lot. You got to give credit where credit's due, and what those 2 gentlemen have done for Richard Allen and for all of us, it's awesome to see. It's how it should be. But I think what those 2 attorneys did and have done goes to, it's not just Richard Allen. It's for the people. So with that said, 3 hours and 45 minutes, they came back with that. I think Gull has probably taken a couple extra gulps. I mean, that was quick. And I think that just tells you how fucking crazy she is. That they came back that quick to say, whoa, girl, what have you done? And yes, obviously Rosie and what they've accused her of, and um, you're biased, and your bias showed by you telling us that we're out. Well, guess what? No, we're not. And if I'm them, just because of the person that I am, I don't want her going anywhere. I think all eyes are going to be on her. So I think that all eyes are already on her. I think that if I'm actually Rosie and Baldwin, I want her to stay, because I think that she's going to have that pressure to put her big girl pants on and be an unbiased judge like she's supposed to be. So when people are saying out there like, well, to have her gone, well, it can also be kind of flipped. So look at it that way, that she's got all eyes on her, and if she tries to pull anything funky here, it's her career. So as far as Richard Allen wanting to go in 70 days, I think now what's going to be up on the table is the reason that they pushed it to October was because of the people that were going to have to then represent Allen. That's the only reason that got pushed. So now that this is going to go back all the way, to the fact that no, he's rolling with his same attorneys. Okay. I think that them having the whole purpose for the October date was because of the new attorneys. That's not the case anymore. And so with that said, I think they're gonna try to get it to be sooner. Not sure how that, how you go about that, but I think that if anything, the only reason that date, October, was given was because of the situation, and that's not the situation. So I'm sure there's, something that they can do about that.
Court to take up a matter like this prior to it even getting to trial, and then to come back with a ruling so fast. Everybody expected a ruling within a couple of weeks, which they thought would be very fast. This took, again, 3 hours and 45 minutes. Michael, Judge?
Well, Barbara, let me ask you this. We just saw there were 5 of, we know, the justices sitting to make this decision.
Correct.
And I just wanted to ask your thoughts, because I know you are all things Delphi and you have followed this case. You've been intimately involved. What do you think of the fact that it was a split decision, that 2 of the requests were denied, that it is simply these attorneys go back to representing Allen, which I think is Richard Allen, which I think is the right thing, because that's what he wanted, but the other 2 are denied. Did you expect that?
I did not. I actually kind of felt that they would replace the judge as well, to protect transparency and protect the process of this moving forward. It certainly seems, I'm not a lawyer, you both are, that there are still many issues that these 2 attorneys could raise against this judge. And what sort of a relationship are they going to have moving forward? They're supposed to be, all of them, working together to make sure that we have a fair trial for Richard Allen when he goes on trial.
I'll tell you the reason that I don't think that she was, booted. It was because, in my personal opinion, that just because you're ruling or whatever you are as a judge, for example, if let's say it was had something to do with a ruling in the matter of a case, when you go and you're like, you take it to to get an appeal. When people win appeals, they don't kick the judge that, fucked up. You don't just get kicked from the case. So, but I get it that they were also saying, X, Y, and Z against Gull. But I just don't think that because she chose to do what she did, I think that I can't just go and kick a judge because she, messed up. because she erred. So that's the only thing that I think is the reason that didn't happen. Also, like I said, I think all eyes are on her. She was just appointed to be the Chief Justice here. So I said it before in my, what do I predict happening? I predicted that he was going to be reinstated with his attorneys as actual court-appointed attorneys. And then I stated that I think that Gull on her own is going to recuse herself. And that could still, possibly happen. But I think just having all eyes on you, and then you have to do the right thing under this microscope that you've already made a huge boo-boo, so I think that kind of helps you. I think that kind of helps you as the defense. And that's kind of how I would look at it, that, we kind of have this judge by the nuts. That's my take on it. But, and how about this? If she was just doing it because she wasn't an unbiased judge and she truly believed that these guys were inept and stuff like that, then that's only going to show in how she, I like to say referees it from here on out. We'll see if you truly, were biased or if it was an unbiased opinion. But I do agree that you're leaving a lot on the table, that Richard Allen, because of what Gull did, it fucked him in his right to a speedy trial. So ultimately that has led to him not being able to have a speedy trial, is because of what she did. Okay. And I don't know if maybe that was argued enough. I also don't think it was argued enough to the fact, they won like that. But I just don't think it was argued enough that her actions, in court, you wanted to argue that Richard Allen's right to a speedy trial would have never been interfered with had Gull not done this oopie doopie doopie move.
Trial for these charges of murdering these two young girls in Delphi, Indiana in 2017. And there are going to be continued fireworks. This is a case that a lot of the people who...
Before the decision came out, Nick McLeland went ahead and said they filed and they amended their charges, and they just went from straight, let me pull it up. Did I send it to myself? Let's see. Somewhere here. Yeah. I don't know why this isn't coming up the right way. Yeah, they just changed it. Instead of it being that basically in the act of what Richard Allen did, that during a felony, then, murder occurred. This is just straight murder charges, 2 counts of murder, 2 counts of kidnapping. So those were changed. They went ahead and put their motion in. Let me see if I can pull this up. I thought I had it. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. You guys, I have 7,771 emails if you guys want to go through them. Boy. Derek. Yeah. The judge should recuse herself because everything she says against the defense will be listened to very, very carefully. Yeah. She's going to have to watch her P's and Q's. Her attorney said they were competent. I know that was the best part, is that these 2 attorneys are very competent. It's just like, oh man, did you just screw up there? I thought we were arguing that they weren't. So yeah, Judge Gull's still on. Like I told you guys, I think that when you really think about it and you look at it from, flip the script, you have a woman that totally clearly made a biased move, and then she just got, I'm sorry, got her ass handed to her by this 3 hours and 45 minutes. I was expecting a 2-week answer. 3 hours and 45 minutes. Boom. If that's pretty much getting your ass handed to you with something like that. You know, when people have to take hours and days and weeks and almost a month or over a month to make a decision, now that's what you call somebody that's making a tough decision. When somebody sits on something for a long time, right? This 3 hours and 45 minutes. Do you think they added the extra charges today to force a delay in the speedy trial? No, I think that they were just deflecting, or I should say, they want all eyes off of this. So therefore, here, let's go and do this, and this is what we're going to have people talking about, not the fact that, you know, Richard Allen's attorneys are back in play. We want to get people talking about this. That's what I believe. It's a you know, a chess match, and it's not a coincidence that today was the day that those papers were put in. Those papers had been definitely dialed up, and they were waiting to be entered, and today they entered them, and because they knew what was coming. They knew that Richard Allen's attorneys were going to be reinstated, and rightfully so as court appointed, because they did nothing wrong. Once they made the term, when they said, well, what do you have? Where's the record? There is no record, okay? You have nothing on record that these guys did anything. And in fact, you want to do all this bullshit behind the scenes, and it came up. So I just think that they were prepared, they knew, and then they dropped these to have people talking about that. They wanted people not to be talking about this, not to be talking about the fact that that we have, I think we have an inept judge. I think that all of Gull's shit should be, anything that she's presided over should come, people should go ahead and take a look at what the hell cases she's been on, to be completely frank. Because if you're going to do something like this in this case, with the world watching, what the hell have you done without the world watching and nobody to advocate in a manner that Richard Allen, in this case, you know, is getting? I think that the date October only got picked because of the new lawyers. So now it's perfectly reasonable to say, okay. And do I think that they need more time because of the new papers? Absolutely not. The only people that aren't ready, okay, is Nick. Nick isn't. He's the only one that's not ready to go to trial. You heard Nick say, "I've been having to investigate this leak for all these hours." That's not your fucking job. So why are you doing other people's jobs? That's not your job. Since when does the prosecutor investigating cases, leaks that are like fucking what, misdemeanors? Think about that. That's just wild. So just wild. Just absolutely wild. I've been having to do this. Well, why the fuck are you doing that?
We've been following it from the beginning. Those of us who were at the hearing today were discussing this, that, you know, you almost can't predict anymore what's going to happen in this case. There seems to be surprises around every corner. And after today, I have a feeling that's going to continue.
I think
Absolutely.
It might continue. And I, too, was just a little bit surprised, Michael, again, that the judge, just to make it cleaner, neater, and given the allegations, that they didn't say, let's have another judge hear this. But you made some great points.
Yeah, I think
opposite.
clearly cleaner and neater are, you know, good reasons, but you also have to have a record. And one of the things that the defense had to do here, Judge, is show the bias. They had to prove it. The judge made that, one of the judges made that point. If you want to claim bias, well, prove it. There was no evidence of bias. That's why I think they left her on the case. But Barbara, what I want to ask you is, there was also, it was brought up in one of the arguments that, look, here's what could happen. If the attorneys are put back on the case, which they were, they go back in front of Fran Gull. One of the reasons I think caused problems for this panel of judges was there was no record of why the judge did what she did. So is it possible that now she decides to have a hearing, and she has a hearing on their competency and ability to move forward in the case, creates a record, and still ends up getting rid of them? That's a possibility.
That absolutely is a possibility, and that, as you mentioned, was discussed in court today. And again, you know.
Yeah, that's absolutely a possibility. I think that Gull, the only reason I think that she would recuse herself is because she was just recently, as in the beginning of the year of 2024 in January here, she was promoted. She has a new role with being appointed Chief Justice, whatever the fuck she got. Who the fuck is, I mean, I'm just so glad that the hires got it right. But who's ever voting in Indiana, please pay attention to who the fuck you're voting for as far as judges go. Because I think that this woman is a fart in the wind. She blows whichever way she's told. And she, you know, I watched her past, like, when she was trying to get elected and doing all this crap. She's a sheep. That's all there is to it. She's a fucking sheep. But yeah, could she come back and say, okay, we're going to have a hearing and do all of this? Yeah, if she wants to look like a complete fucking, idiot, sure. She's going to go against then the hires again and say, okay, we're going to have a hearing. But I just think then you're getting really, really ticky-tacky, and I just don't think that's going to happen. That's just too ticky. That's too much. And that's like lawyering 101. They tell you, like, we're not going to go, tit for tat with people. I've had lawyers say that to me a ton of times, and I'm just like thinking, okay, well, sure. So I just think that that's what that would be if she did that. And I don't see that being that happening. But the other thing is that I think everyone's losing the plot here. When are we going to start talking about Abby and Libby again? When is this going to be about two girls getting justice? And the only way that two girls get justice is if due process happens. We're over here trying to finagle ways to tell Richard Allen who we can and can't have as his attorney. I just think that Abby and Libby, you want justice for them, and in order to have justice for them, you have to have due process. And I said it back in the beginning when I said that Gull reminds me of Ito in the O.J. Simpson case. It's her show. She wants us to be some fucking show. She thinks she's, end all be all. And today just showed that she's not. So, ego or not, I don't even think that has anything to do with ego. You were wrong. You know what I'm saying? Like, fuck ego, you're wrong. You were structurally, it was improper. You erred, and that means you're wrong. But I just, it's not the Gull. It shouldn't be the Gull show. It shouldn't be the Rozzi show. It shouldn't be Baldwin. It shouldn't be the McClellan show. It should be justice. It should be about the case. It should be about the evidence. It should be about literally three people: Richard Allen, Abby, Libby. That's it. That's who it should be about. And I think that Rossi and Baldwin have done an amazing job. Like, if I was the parents of one of those two girls, I'm thanking Baldwin and Rossi for doing their job, because I want justice for my kid, okay? And if it means I'm going to actually get out of the damn defense who's defending this guy, but he's bringing forth just the truth, whatever it may be. Just because at the end of the day, I believe in innocence till proven guilty, but that doesn't mean that I'm not justice for Abby and Libby. Are you nuts? Me saying that I believe that Richard Allen is innocent, which I do based off of the evidence. There's nothing there, and they fucked with the probable cause. They fucked with witnesses. Read the 135 pages, man. That's where I'm getting that shit from. Which this broad didn't even. She goes over. I didn't even finish it. Really? Jeez. This is your case, and you have it. Like all of us have already read it all, but here, this broad, Gull, hasn't even gotten through stuff. Well, what the hell have you been doing? Because you have a case. This was supposed to go to trial, and you didn't even read what? And I think she's full of fucking shit. She's read it all. She's a fucking liar. That's a fucking bold-faced lie. Or if it's the truth, then you should be gone because what are you doing? So is it normally this fast? No. I mean, this is quick. This is like what we just saw here was a nooner. This was like this was a quick all. This is just a backseat blowjob type thing at lunch in high school type of quick. You have the lunch period to go blow your boyfriend and you did it. That's how quick this was. So 3 hours and 45 minutes to come back. But that just tell you, I think, how ridiculous what she did. And I think that would be more embarrassing to me if I'm Gull, is that, damn, 3 hours and 45 minutes, they're back with their answer. Yeah, they left, and now they're leaving me to, like, they're not going to clean up my mess for me by just kicking me off, right? That would make it easy for Gull. No, you're going to clean up your fucking mess, Gull. So, backseat blowy. You guys know. Come on now. Let's go skip lunch. But all in all, yeah, no, I think the quickness of it, versus hell, I guess going and getting protection orders take like a month to get an answer back. Gull got her answer in 3 hours and 45 minutes, so I must be doing something right to make somebody think about it for a month. Like that dig.
No, I don't have the legal background that you folks do, but it certainly seems that the issues that already existed between this judge and this defense team today doesn't fix all of that. So I see that they're still going to have issues moving forward. Again, Richard Allen's trial is set for October in Carroll County with Fran Gull as the judge and Bradley Rozzi and
I'll also say this from like just an athlete standpoint of it. And again, this is just my comparison to it. When I coached and when I played, you have you get the same officials, on different occasions where you're going to have like the same ref who refed out of 20 of our games, 6 of them. And then they ref in playoffs and stuff like that. I never felt that, oh shit, we got that ref that gave me a T or something like that, or that made some calls. I think if anything in sports with good officials, just like how judges are supposed to be referees, that you want to do, like, when a ref makes a makeup call, it's because they're making up a call because they fucked up something, right? So here is Gull going to take, this opportunity to make sure that maybe she has a couple makeup calls in her. But I think that Baldwin and Rozzi are veteran litigators, and I don't think that they're sitting there fucking crying because they have to have Gull as their judge. I don't at all. In fact, I think they actually have the upper hand right now. I think they truly have the upper hand. They just won. They just won in Superior Court over her. So yeah, keep her ass around, because when she messes up again, we'll take it right. That's my take.
Andrew Baldwin as the defense attorneys, but a lot of things are going to happen prior to that. Also, the new defense attorneys that were appointed by Fran Gull when she got rid of Bradley Rozzi and Andrew Baldwin, they also filed a motion to have Richard Allen transferred out of the prison where he's being held and put into a county jail, citing his inhumane treatment, that he's being treated like Hannibal Lecter. That's very similar to complaints that Bradley Rozzi and Andrew Baldwin filed in the case as well. So, there's so many issues that are still up in the air. Today does not really settle very many of those issues at all, but it gives Richard Allen the attorneys that he wants representing him back. These are two attorneys that have come out and said that they believe he is innocent and that they are going to prove it. They say they are mounting a third-party defense, and they are going to blame, apparently, these members of this Odinist group who they say the law enforcement failed to investigate. And it looks like they're certainly going to be pointing the finger in that direction.
Absolutely. Third party culpability. That's going to be the defense. Not only are they going to have that, but they're also going to have reasonable doubt. Like I said, I think Richard Allen is well, I think everybody's innocent until proven guilty. But based off of the copious amounts of shit we've been able to see in this case, Richard Allen, I stand with Richard Allen's defense team. I don't think that Rossi and Baldwin do anything like this if they're not making this shit up. These people buried it. These cops, this is law enforcement, man. And then people died over some of the shit that people that weren't on board about going about it this way. They lost their lives. But it's so refreshing to see lawyers that aren't smug fucks. So, and that they had each other's back too. Neither one of those two dudes, Rossi or Baldwin, when all this shit hit the fan, they weren't pointing the finger at each other. They had each other's backs. And that was also really cool to see too. I'm really happy for Richard Allen's wife. She's a victim. Richard Allen's wife, regardless of what the fuck happens with this case, she didn't do shit. That woman didn't do anything. Otherwise, if she did, she'd be in cuffs and she'd be where he is. So think about your life. I mean, she couldn't go to work anymore. She couldn't be going and living at her house. Every day, just, I couldn't imagine. So regardless of what happens, that woman is a victim. And all these damn gag orders, give me a break. I give so much credit to Rossi and Baldwin to be able to do what they did with a gag order. And, they didn't, like they said, they didn't have the public to help them. Like the public helped law enforcement for 5 or 6 years. And trust me, we're going to talk about Moscow and the fact that Scott Green wrote a fucking book. I mean, the timing in Moscow just never seems to be anywhere where it needs to be. You want to write a book, there's supposed to be a trial, okay, this summer. Release your stupid fucking book after that. What's the fuck's wrong with these people? President writing a book. Get the fuck out of here. Like, trust me, I have all the pages and I'm just like, ugh, this is ridiculous. Yeah, I can't wait till Allen is acquitted and sues the shit out of TOC. I hope so, man. I hope so. He shouldn't even be there. I think Richard Allen should be out on bond, bail. He had nothing tying that man to this case. Jesus. Distasteful release of that book. Yeah. Yeah, it's guilty until proven innocent these days. Yeah, and you know what? More people need to start talking about that. More people truly need to start talking about that because that's not how it's supposed to be. But I think that lawyers need to start changing the way that they represent and defend their clients due to this. Oh, well, the police didn't arrest you and charge you with this for nothing. Well, first of all, it depends on what fucking police officers did it. But yeah, when I start revealing what the hell truly happened in the Brian Drake case, I'm going to show you that people get arrested for no fucking reason. And actually, I shouldn't say it's for no reason. It's to fit a timeline that's not the murder timeline. Who takes the word of a fucking wife and when their husband dies? I was on the phone with him. How convenient, huh? Just, all that shit's just disgusting.
If you would tell us also, Barbara, what it was like in terms of the atmosphere of local reporters, who all was present watching this, because this has captured the attention of the world. It was such a long time before they even arrested a suspect. And so what was that feel like in that courtroom?
Were any of the families there?
You know, this was obviously a much more I think, professional setting than some of the others that I've attended, because this was at the Supreme Court. There were very strict rules placed on the media as well as the public who were attending. And I think everyone behaved in a way that really honored that process and honored the court and these justices and allowed these attorneys to come in and argue what they needed to argue today and have the justices ask questions. And as you saw, the justices had a lot of questions. There were times that they were talking over each other to ask questions of these attorneys. So the fireworks in this case are not going away anytime soon. It's going to be an interesting process to see how this plays out. It has certainly sparked an interest in me to learn more about the Constitution and our rights and how these courts operate at the Supreme Court.
Boom. Great term. Great thing to say right there. It's really prompted me to know more about our rights. Awesome. I got you there. I'm referring to the Brian Drake case. I know that. I got you. Oh, that was funny. Yeah, so like I said, I'm just really happy for actually all of us U.S. citizens. Today was not just a victory for Richard Allen; it was a victory for all of us. And you truly got to start looking at things like that, because just like the Dr. Moore case with the Brian Drake case, Dr. Moore, who was a practicing chiropractor who gave his life to help, his patients and everything like that, gets literally out of the blue picked up for murder. What? And so when I say that it could happen to anybody, it truly can happen to anybody. And when you guys finally get to hear the whole story of everything that family has gone through and what the hell's been going on, it'll just blow your mind away, just absolutely ridiculous. And then you look at a situation here with Richard Allen. He tells you that he was there. Literally day 1, day 2 of when this all broke in this case, and that there was missing girls, and and then all of a sudden all these years later, you decide you're going to go back to the beginning and start looking at. Wouldn't anybody that said that they were there, you wouldn't have to go oh, let's go back and see who we're missing here. Get the fuck out of here, man. Just, yeah. So I think the next thing is let's talk about that Franks hearing. When's that? You guys, we have a Franks up there. Okay, so boom, they just won. You want to know what Baldwin and Rozzi are talking about right now? We have our Franks. You know what our Franks is? Y'all lied in a probable cause affidavit to get an arrest of Richard Allen. You guys changed witness statements, motherfuckers. So that's what they're talking about. That's what they're thinking about right now is we have a Franks hearing, and when's that going to be? You know, when's Gull going to set the date for that? In her spare time, when she thought that maybe this could be overturned and that they're back in, and even if they weren't back in, you know, if those attorneys decide to, you know, take that on and go that route. But let's talk about this. When is it going to be set? I mean, let's go. I didn't even do any of that reading because, that's what I'm waiting for. And that's exactly what they said before they got kicked is like, we have all this stuff in motion and what's going on here. Where's our hearings for any of this? When can we set this date? When can we do this? When can we do that? So I want to know when Gull is going to set the Franks hearing. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about that. That's what should fucking be happening. So, yeah, we talked about that, Susan. Yep, the state did file another motion around the time of this case. Yeah, oh, I can't wait to see McClellan. Yeah, fuck yeah. Yes, let's go. Like, this is what, you know, come on, man. This is going to be, they're going to get, I think they're just going to, who's to say this ever goes to freaking trial based off of what could happen in this Franks? I mean, what's going on here? There was no probable cause to arrest Richard Allen, none whatsoever. There was nothing against this man for this case. It's just gross. Oh. Gull seems vindictive. Want to see the atmosphere when court resumes. I'm just waiting for this. I want to see this. I want to see this Franks hearing, man. Let's go. Let's go. Brad Holder.
Level.
We are really grateful, Barbara McDonald, that you are there live, that you've been able to join us and give us all such great updates of what happened at that hearing today. Thank you.
Fantastic stuff. All right, let's bring in our guest still with us, criminal defense attorney Marie Peretta. Marie, we've got to get you to ring in on this decision.
A defendant has the right to represent themselves and have no attorney at all. Why can't they choose an attorney that the judge may feel violated some sort of gag order? Once one of the justices said that, I knew it was going to lean towards reinstating those attorneys back. And I think that judge really abused her discretion and she didn't have a hearing. So maybe now she'll decide to do a hearing, to conduct a hearing to determine if they in fact violated the gag order and if they're incompetent and cannot fairly represent him. I don't think she'll do it, but that decision was proper. I think she overstepped her boundaries by making this decision in chambers and basically threatening them with embarrassment and humiliation and not giving them a time to be ready to fight to keep the position even after those pictures were leaked. They did right. That decision was on point. I think they should have removed her too, because somewhere along the line there is going to be some really tough fracas between them during the trial, and it's always going to be like she's ruling against me because I embarrassed her in Supreme Court and we got reinstated. There's always going to be an underlying beef between them, and I agree with Judge Ashley, to keep it clean. They should have just removed the judge as well, not because she did anything super wrong, but just to avoid the beef that I see coming down the line.
Yeah, it'll be interesting, Judge, to see the written decision, the reason why they left the judge there. I don't think they found anything in the record to suggest that she overstepped her bounds.
Just stayed away from it.
I believe that there was nothing in the record to show why they should have gotten rid of her, because there was nothing in there to show that she was actually biased. She had reasons to get rid of them, at least in her mind. Were they sufficient? They don't know, because there's no record as to her reasons why she thought they were grossly incompetent and should not not continue representing him.
But that's the very problem. Don't do it back in chambers where you don't have a record. If you feel that strongly and you have evidence to support it, you protect yourself.
Gull thought that Rossi and Baldwin were going to pony up and be these little yes, ma'am, yes, sir, bitch boys. They aren't those type of boys. They said, oh, hell no. Who the fuck are you, man? Who are you? I think they were just so like, is this really like, Tommy wouldn't be shocked if that was you. I don't care how, experienced you are, but like, you just cannot believe that this is truly happening. And I think that Rossi and Baldwin were just shocked at what happened in that chambers meeting. They were just totally like, did she just really say we pretty much don't have a choice? Either she's going to go embarrass us or we can just resign right now. Like, what? Yeah, this woman's blazer is just blazing sweet, hot pink blazing. I like the fact that the cameras are going to be all on her. Let her stay. Let her stay. Let her get fucking booed every day she walks into that fucking courtroom during trial. There should be signs out there. There should be signs out there. Picket the fuck out of this woman. Boo the fuck out of her. But see, Indiana's not like, I feel like Indiana's really not even following this case like the world is, or, people elsewhere. But, JLR, get down there and heckle the fuck out of the judge and say, why did you do that? Why are you violating people's rights? I think Nick McClellan is in so over his head, and that, I mean, I'm being for real when I say this. I am going to thoroughly enjoy Baldwin and Rossi taking it to him, because not only do they have, I think they're flat out better attorneys, but they have the evidence. They have you can't, if you don't have evidence when you're there, if you don't have to have anybody researching to dig up your shit so you can, like, everything that they put together, then there's not much you can do. They have the shit. Baldwin and Rossi have the evidence. It's on their side. And here, Nick is over here. He can't even figure out how I'm over here investigating a leak for what, days upon days upon days. And that you're the prosecutor, you don't investigate. During the time that you're investigating this leak, somebody takes their own life. Great job investigating. Stop threatening people. And maybe that guy, then you'd want to blame, the death of that man and put on the hands of Rozzi and Baldwin, you sick son of a bitch. Fuck you. That's how I feel. No problem saying it. I'm allowed to say whatever the fuck I want. I'm right. It's my First Amendment, right? I think that that's Bush League. I think that I want to see Nick McClellan in the courtroom, and I'm going to love it. It's going to be like a backseat Bill type thing. They don't do trials like this, murder trials. This guy's all these people are plea dealers. Everything's plea. So, oh, hell yes, a true defense lawyer seeks the truth for their client. Yeah, and like I said, I think that the family should be all for it, because, and I think maybe secretly they are. Like, McClellan being paid $2 million and he's not even ready yet. No, because he's still dealing with that leak, man. Oh shit. What did you do? So I don't know. I like this defense attorney,
Quite
though.
frankly,
Sure.
and get out there and
She
put
made a
it
mistake,
on
no question.
the record. Let's just recap, Marie, briefly the motions that were made. The first to reinstate as former public defenders. This is the one that we just heard from Barbara on. That was granted. She said that was by a majority. So not all 5 of them agreed to that, but a majority of the justices did. Then she said
So some of you guys were asking, and it was the majority of the justices agreed that they should be reinstated as court appointed. To reinstate his former public defenders. See how so they're in as court appointed public defenders, so they're going to get paid. They don't need to do this pro bono because they didn't do shit wrong. They should be in as court appointed. There should be no mark against these dudes. And the only things that when they denied, set a speedy trial date within the next 70 days of the higher courts of the high court's decision that was denied, and to remove Gull and replace her with another special judge. I just think that now that you don't have to remove her, she knows the case, right? His attorneys who know the case, everybody's, hey, the band's back together, so they're going to be why this can't go forward way sooner than October, because the only reason that October was given was because of the new attorneys. Well, that's not the case anymore, and I think they're going to put some type of motion together for that. I mean, that was the only reason given. JLR, come on in, let's heckle this bitch, right? Let's get some hoodies made. So the citizens of Delphi need to pay attention to where their tax money is going and ensure these people are doing their jobs. Yeah, I mean, I would say Carroll County, just the whole fucking county, but yeah. Yes, Shauna King, I have seen it. Okay, Lana, have you seen this? Prosecutor adding 2 additional murder charges against Richard Allen. Watch this. Holy shit, if you didn't see this. Spin, though, as involved, not necessarily killer. They basically want to, I think their motion was to amend. Oh, I'm tired. Maybe just nonstop. Yes, me too. Hot ham radio. He's lost so much weight. I pray they get him out of there. Yeah. It just. Yeah, good. I like this comment here by Mary P. They thought that the public was so thirsty for blood in this case that it would be a walk in the park. Then Baldwin and Rozzi. Now the prosecution is spinning. Yeah. And you know what? If I'm the family, man, like, I'm pissed. I would want Gull off of it. It's not, I wouldn't want it to be the Gull show. This is my daughter. You know what I'm saying? If I'm a parent, like, fuck you, get out of here. I want somebody that's gonna, why would I want to deal with having to be in court on an appeal? Like, this is where you put us. So if I was the family, I would want her gone because, like I said, keep it clean, whatever. So hopefully she does the families a big fucking favor and she just recuses herself and she should. And that's how I would say it if I was her. I said it in my show earlier where I said that they would be reinstated as his court-appointed attorneys. So I thought it was going to take 2 weeks, though. 3 hours and 45 minutes. Holy shit. Talk about it. Talk about just like there's nothing to discuss here. It was probably like this. Where do you guys stand? Raise your hand. You know what I mean? Okay, why do you feel that way? Why do you feel this way? Why do you feel this way? Is this something that we can just discuss right now and come to some, I'm not moving on this. This is crazy. She totally overstepped her bounds, because it's going to be a majority type thing. And Richard Allen had the majority. So I think some people truly held to their, I don't care. You could talk we could talk about this all fucking day. I'm not changing type of thing. But 3 hours and 45 minutes, I said 2 weeks. I said, we'll see. Well, I think they're going to have an answer in 2 weeks. 3 hours and 45 minutes. I don't know. Yeah. If I'm said by Jakes, if I'm family, I'd want unified law enforcement go off of it. They've actively buried strong leads and suspects. Yeah. I want it to be about getting justice for for my kids or my daughter. That's how I would be if I was a family. And I would just be really upset the way that this was being handled. And the judge is just having no. They argued that a little bit today about like, well, is Richard Allen going to have a play in ineffective assistance of counsel, even if we go ahead and it's no, Richard Allen has made it known there's no ineffective assistance of counsel going to be coming up in this case. That happens in cases where no offense, but you got public defenders that put maybe one or two witnesses forward, and that they don't have any game plan and they don't do their due diligence. They've done their due diligence. People really do want true justice. Yeah. And it's nice to see when we, the people, are voting for the right people and that want the same. I mean, I think that's always been I don't understand how, as a prosecutor, how you could ever want to prosecute the wrong person. And to be able to say it's not on the prosecutor. You fucking assholes, you buried evidence. You buried this shit. If I was a prosecutor, I would be lighting up, the law enforcement people that did that. I wouldn't be covering for them, and when you start to see prosecutors covering for law enforcement that's done stuff like that, that's when that they're just that they're in on it, that nobody covers for people. Nobody, they're not a big deal. Or you would just think that prosecutors want, to get the right person. Modern day witch hunts. Modern day witch hunts happen because the investigators aren't doing their jobs. I think that they're fucking lazy, man. I came across a really lazy person on my trip, this past trip I just took. And I'm just like, God, you're so fucking lazy. I was just looking at this person like, you're fucking just lazy. You're fucking lazy. I can't even say that you're not smart, just you're lazy. You're lazy, and people's lives are in your hand. I just, wow. Lazy people suck. Unfortunately, the culture is win at all costs. Yeah, P. Fox, I would agree. P. Fox says, I think there would be a greater chance of ineffective counsel if they didn't let his lawyers back. Yeah. I just don't think that Richard Allen should have to suffer his speedy right, or his right to a speedy trial, because Gull did this. So I think that there is going to be some, I can't think about that. Gull purposely fucks up and kicks out the lawyers, right? Then they have this hearing and they're reinstated. So I get that that it was denied at that level, but once it comes back here, the only reason it was ever pushed, I personally think that they fucked up with that set on. I mean, the speedy trial date, in my opinion, because you granted his attorneys back in play, to me that would be like a one in, if that's going to happen, then this is going to happen type thing. So it's kind of weird that the speedy trial date to be set within the 70 days, that to me, I think logically doesn't make sense, because he still would have had that had this never have happened. So how do you kick that from him? How do you take that off the table? But if they weren't reinstated, then yeah, I mean, but by ultimately them being reinstated as his public defenders, a court appointed, it should be how it was before, with there being no trial date set out in October. So, and I think that's what a lot of people are saying out there. I haven't watched any of what other people are saying, but to me, if your logic would tell you that if you're reinstating these attorneys because she fucked up, then how can his right to a speedy trial be impeded because of the fuck up? Yeah, they don't search for shit. And then I think that there's just so many also like really good, people in law enforcement. And it's just like anything in life, though. Nobody talks about all the good. Nobody talks about people all these good deeds that go. Like, that's not what makes the news. What makes the news is the shit, So I think these type of people give law enforcement a bad name, just like when you hear about teachers doing fucking stupid shit. Pay these fucking people better. You're not going to have shit like this. There's no room. You don't have to be corrupt when you're getting compensated properly. So it just sucks, though. It sucks that this is what the training, I don't know. I mean, how do you have a Miranda violation in 2020? The fuck are you doing? Like, you should get fired. How are you not fired for something like that? People get fired in like, now that's the type of shit that pisses me off. Bad news travels fast. So do rumors. There are still good people in the world. There's a shit ton of good people in this world. A ton of good people in this world. Was there a Miranda violation? Oh, in the Drake case, yeah, there was. I'm just saying that's 2020 to have that. Why would he plea when even his lawyers think he's innocent and willing to do for free? Who said anything about a plea deal? Who's taking plea deals? Richard Allen's not plea deal. Lana, do you think? Yeah, I do. 100%. That's not going past the October date. I can't wait for this fucking Franks hearing. I want to see what happens from this Franks hearing. Like, this Franks hearing is going to be lit as a tit. They better fucking have that. I mean, that's just going to be sweet. If you like law, if you like court, if you truly like to follow the intricacies of, all the stuff that happens before you actually get to the dance, that's what makes and breaks cases. How about Scott Peterson? You guys know the Innocence Project is taking on Scott Peterson's case, right? Remember how I was talking to you guys back a couple months ago when I was actually out in Modesto? I got a little wind of some shit. And y'all probably thought, what the fuck is Lana doing out at the Scott Peterson house? Okay. Well, did you guys see who took on Scott Peterson's case? The Innocence Project. Now, what would the Innocence Project want with the Scott Peterson case? So yeah, hot ham. Did you hear about that? Scott Peterson. I don't know. I'm telling you, if you guys have ever never seen it here, let me see if I can pull it up. Have you guys ever seen the boat experiment when the Scott Peterson case? They wouldn't allow it in court, but what's his name? Scott Peterson's attorney, Garagos. Garagos tried to get this reenactment of with the boat and the body and stuff like that. I'll pull it up for you guys if you guys haven't seen it. I love reenactments. If you guys didn't know that. Let's see. Okay, here I got it. Okay, now they wouldn't let this. They tried to get this in court and they wouldn't let it. I'm going to just show you guys. Some of you guys may have seen it already, but
Three. Release your weight.
The video just shown is the unsuccessful reenactment.
so that was, again, that's the boat type he bought. Unbelievable. Yep, that's it. Now, only thing I think about it is when people want to talk about reenactments and stuff. So let's talk about the Idaho 4 case here for a minute. You wreck the house. So everything that you're going to be giving and doing is like a reenactment in a sense, right? Okay. So the only thing I thought was interesting is that they didn't allow this in the Scott Peterson case to show like, a reenactment of, but what I would want to see is a reenactment of standing in the hallway where Dylan's bedroom is and having it just a little bit open to see what it would look like when somebody was to be walking by. So I don't know. So it's just like when you want to just compare cases and what they're going to like when they allow things and don't allow things, it's just interesting to me that it's anything that they would do with the house. And yeah, you have the 3D, scanning and imaging and but as far as like audio goes, or I'm just really curious to see what's what's going to happen. Could somebody like a Scott Roeder do a reenactment of, based on all the wounds that were suffered and all the spatter and everything that's in that house and where it laid and everything like that. That's what someone like Scott Roeder does, is he takes the crime scenes and based off of those scenes he shows based off of the wounds and stuff like that. So, is stuff like that admissible in court? I was looking at Linda Lane again last night because it's something that after I had been out there, I noticed. So I was curious about something about Linda Lane. And, I mean, they are so married to that car. It's not even fucking funny. It's just crazy. Yeah, that's incredible. Yeah, it truly is. So much can be told by spatter. A whole story can just be told by it all. It truly can. Same with a lot of your, like, with an autopsy, but how the scene was left. You have this knife that he just used that, was it dripping anywhere with the blood? Anyways. But yeah, gonna wrap this one up. But also when I was at the Peterson house and over in that area, I was just like, damn, these houses are on top of each other, number one. Number two, there's just these people in Yeah, when you get out to places, it changes. I think that all juries should go out to all crime scenes, the area. Because Moscow, everything's on top of each other. Yeah, Scott Peterson golfed. He was a golfer. He was no pro or anything like that. Yeah, he was supposed to go golfing, and then he changed his mind and went fishing. And he drove like an hour and a half away or something like that. Which, truth be told, you want to talk about craziness. You want to talk about law enforcement in that case. Law enforcement told the whereabouts and the alibi for Scott Peterson. They said where he was. They told the public that. So anybody that would have had, if it in fact was not him, knew where he went to then, okay, go dump the body there because that's where Scott Peterson was. I mean, that's the type of shit that should never get out. And in that case, it did. And I don't know if people know that. That's a big fuck up. That's some bullshit. Yeah. I agreed there, Red. That is one that didn't make sense. Them saying that he realized he left the sheath after he left and came back. How you forget you don't have it before leaving? Yeah. Yeah. Who goes in there with the sheath even on? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Lana, please let me know how to get in touch with you through the 7,000 emails. I take clues. It's interesting here. Casino says, I've thought Peterson was innocent a couple years ago. One of my good friends who's a police officer in Cleveland, I always shoot the shit with him. And he's like, I remember talking about the Scott Peterson case. He's like, Scott Peterson's innocent. There's no way. Like, and he was talking about, I was like, what? For him, of all people, like cops, like, I was like, really? He's like, yeah. He's like, that man may be a piece of shit, cheating bastard, fucking living two lives, doing whatever. But, do you think he was going to marry Amber Fry? I said, no fucking way. He's just a player. Like, he's just lying to her. You know what I mean? But I don't know. But there was, I will tell you this though, that'd be like somebody giving up. Well, I haven't heard anything about a hoodie guy, Jack Showalter. What's his alibi? When Mr. Gonsalves says, "Why aren't you telling us people's alibi? Like, what's their alibi? Whose alibi did the Gonsalveses want? Remember that? Remember that big, Brian Etten interview? Whose alibi did they want? Did they want multiple people's alibi? But they wanted a specific person's alibi. And, people, and I think in the Idaho 4 case, it's different because you're not dealing with a missing person. Like Lacey Peterson was a missing person, turned body, washing up with the baby, with Connor. Okay. So I think that's different. But then the Scott Peterson case where it's a missing person that way, they went ahead and coughed up where Scott Peterson was that day. So think about that. Well, now let's even say that you buried her. Okay, well, we need to dig her up and put her out in that water because that's where Scott Peterson was. So I always thought that was interesting that they coughed up his alibi because that was a huge fuck up. Like a ridiculous fuck up. Again, I'm not sitting here saying that I think Scott Peterson, I don't know. All I know is that I would have loved to see him get a new trial for the simple fact that I believe in you can't have people on your jury that are fucking crazy and lying and fucking with voir dire. Come on, man. I think that's bullshit. Wow, I didn't even think about that, but so true, TNT. Oh yeah, that's why they keep alibis, especially with missing persons. I mean, if I try to tell you I was, what if Scott Peterson said he would have went golfing and her body's found in the woods at the golf course? I don't know. Scott Peterson, that was a pretty far drive to go to that, to go fishing out there. I mean, do I think a lot of it's fishy? Yeah. But I also read a lot of those books. Same thing with the OJ case. People think OJ did it, and I personally think that OJ's son did it. And there's a book out there that I recommend to go read. Bruno Maglio's weren't just owned by OJ. Jason had a pair. They were the same size. Jason wears beanies. That beanie that was... Jason had a dog. Jason had such mental health issues. Jason had knives because he was a cook. He had to bring his own knives to work. Nicole stiffed him that night. Was supposed to bring all the family out there to his new restaurant, Jackson's. He was supposed to cook for them. He had ordered special stuff for the special on the menu. And then she doesn't show up. And I think he just went over there, not planning to kill her or anything like that. But Jason has temper issues. And so I think he just went over there to say, what the fuck, Nicole? Like, why did you do that? Like, what the hell? You made me look bad for my bosses. And, OJ's like, because they used to party and kick it. OJ's, Nicole and Jason used to go out and party, go to nightclubs and stuff like that. They totally blew coke together. Jason, they lied about his timesheet with working that night. He tried to kill his girlfriend, Green. Do you know that of all the children that OJ had, OJ only lawyered up one person, and that was Jason Simpson. He didn't lawyer up his older daughter. Again, I think that OJ Simpson, I think he cared too much about what people thought about him. And then you go and look at the evidence. I'm sorry, but he had no time to clean up that Bronco. Have you guys ever seen Bundy and saw the fucking, that is so tight of an area, how much blood there was, How in the world does O.J. Simpson do all of that, right? Be covered in blood, right? Whoever did this was in a full-on, like, I've seen autopsy photos of stuff, and I've also seen other stuff that I would never ever reveal, but O.J. Simpson's bottom of his shoes should have been covered in blood. His clothes, and there's just a little dab in the middle console. Like, wait, what? Did OJ get completely naked to take off all of his clothes and got in his car? Like, there just should be the floor, the pedals when you go to like hit, go and stop, and your brakes and your pedal to go and your gas, and there's no blood transfer, man. That scene was just one of the most bloodiest scenes. There was nowhere to walk. I mean, and then how quickly it happened based on there was they went to grab some ice cream or something, so there was an ice cream left in the garage because the way that you parked in this complex was your garage was behind, and based on the kids and this ice cream. And also, who's gonna go commit murder with your kids in the same house so that they would, like, have the potential to possibly see that? Like, this wasn't a planned attack, and the whole knives things, like, mm, mm-mm. Now, do I think that Jason, um, told OJ about it? Abso-fucking-lutely. Do I think that he possibly even went there that night before, like, after it happened and said he fucked up? "Oh my god, dad," like, and he was all and then did OJ possibly go to the scene, um, and was just like, "Holy shit," like, "Oh my god," and then sped out of there like, "Oh my god," like, barfing? Like, sure. Well, the only person that OJ lawyered up, out of his older children was his son, so I don't know. Interesting, interesting, interesting. Oh, okay. I thought this stuff like years ago, and everyone said I was insane. Oh, you ain't insane. If you actually look at you know, and then what people were upset about is that when OJ Simpson was found, obviously he was acquitted, not guilty. This guy, he tried to get the case reopened. Like, you don't have a killer. Nobody, it's an unsolved homicide for Nicole Brown and Ron Goldman. Like, what the fuck, you need to look into OJ's son, Jason, and this guy, William Deere, was private PI out of Texas. He spent like $1 million of his own money to do a bunch of stuff. He bought OJ Simpson's son's Jeep. He went through his trash. Yeah. It's actually a pretty good book. You should read it. I like give me something that's factual shit. Like, I don't want to hear I can hear your thoughts when you provide me some receipts, and that's why I love that what William Deere did. He was hands-on. He was, now do I think fucking OJ's crazy and beat the shit out of Nicole? And yeah, I think that's fucking bullshit. Do I think that the LA Police Department didn't do their job before, like, she was murdered? Absolutely. Absolutely. OJ kicked it with the police. Like, they were all boys and shit. But OJ had there was no issues at that recital. There was no Anyways. Plus, the son had a history of threatening people with a knife, right? Yeah, his girlfriend. Yeah, absolutely. What is the book called? It's called OJ is Innocent and I Can Prove It. William Deere. So All right, guys. But yep, this is a wrap. Again, kudos to Baldwin Rozzi back representing Richard Allen as Richard Allen's court-appointed public defenders, as they should be. Until next time, be kind.